Well, hello there. So, I know a little bit more formal than normal, but basically, essentially, this was the recap of all the exams. So, I had two exams going into into the beginning of this term and everything. I had quantum field theory and groups and representations, right? So, for those that don't really know, quantum field theory I thought would be the slightly easier exam, and groups and reps I was expecting to get shafted beyond absolute belief. I was ready to have one of these single worst exams of my entire life. It did not look far too promising at all in the slightest, not one bit of hope really whatsoever. I was there kind of thinking, maybe there's a puncher's chance that I can, I'll throw a couple good jabs in and everything, but I was expecting Mike Tyson to slap me in that paper and everything. So essentially how that went, right? Quantum field theory, that was my first exam. That was on the Wednesday, and then groups and reps was on the Friday. But quantum field theory went like this. So you have 3 questions that you need to do. Each exam is 3 hours, right? So you have 3 questions that you need to do. Each question you have to answer, each one and everything. Groups and reps, you got given 4, and then you get to pick 3. So I'll come back to that. But quantum field theory, I'm there right, you can't really have any holes in your game. You got to be prepared for anything that comes your way. And the way that I had kind of gone through this was when I had done the past papers, I was like, there's a little bit there that was okay, maybe I don't get that question, but at least try and do well on the other 2. So I was kind of hoping you give me 3 questions that are manageable, that brother can really have a good crack at, get a little bite into each one and everything and see how that plays. So I open up quantum field theory, question 1 and everything. Bear in mind, I am yoked on caffeine. I am there I would have double espresso, probably a little bit more, 9 o'clock, the exam's at 9:30, walk to the exam, pop in a Tesco, my ritual would play out where I'd grab a Red Bull and everything, sling that back going into the exam and everything. I'm there shaking, bro. You probably think that I'm a little bit this kid's nervous, or he's coming down with some Alzheimer's. Right? So basically open up the paper, question 1. I'm right, let's see how this plays out. 1A, okay, I can do that, I can prove this is pretty nifty. Brrr. Got it, right? 1B, I'm there I don't know if I can quite remember that operator. You know what? I'm a 1C. Oh, okay. No. 1D and E, I looked at and I said, oh, no way, Jose. Gah, skip that. Question 2. Write down 2A on the next page. And I'm I've done this question before. Perfect. That's a nice way to get some easy marks. And I look at it and I'm there thinking, wait a minute, I can't quite remember how you do that. That was a little bit painful. I was there oh golly, there's something that I'm missing, right? You know when you I know how to do this, but I just in your head you're just blanking a bit, that exam pressure or something. I was oh no. So I go, okay, let's go to 1B, 2B. Look at 2B using your answer to 2A. I'm oh okay. I'm 2C. Okay, I can do 2C. Let me have a good crack. Hammered that. I've done enough matrix calculations in my life to really get this one done. Don't do that. Then I do 2D as well. Best thing that I could put down for that. Cool. Question 3. I didn't even read question 3 at this point. So I go to question 3 and it's calculate the dimensions kind of thing. Pretty standard, nice 3 marks. I'm cool. Got that out the way. And then here's where this was make or break, right? So I'm building it up this is really going to be the end of my life, but in that moment you kind of think it kind of is, right? So I look at question 3B, and there's this thing in quantum field theory called the superficial degree of divergence. I know, sounds pretty scary, really not terrible, but basically it always, in the other past papers, sometimes there was there were 4 past papers, and in 2 or 3 of them it said calculated. So I had done it in those. Each time that I did it for the first time, never got it, not once. And it's different for each paper, by the way. It's not just learn it one time, because then you would just say Alex, you're a mooch. But yeah, so given this Lagrangian or whatever it is, the system, go and find the superficial degree of divergence for that. And I was okay. And it never was more than 4 or 5 marks. This one was 8. And I was going through the derivation of some of the stuff in the lecture notes, and I said, he's not going to go past here. sure that he's not going to include these external lines and everything. Don't worry about the whole details of it. But in the end, it said prove it with the external lines, and I was like, oh, bro, this is you're there thinking this is going to be the exam that really just she your first Oxford exam or whatever. Like, you don't have many exams left in your life, and this is not going to be a good end to one of them. So I'm like, right, let me just state what I know. I know this, I know this, I know this. Get one equation, cool. What else do I know? I know this, right? And I give a hand-wavy reason for why I know it. I just remember in the lecture notes it says, conserve momentums, but he gives a long, detailed thing. And I was just like, yeah, skip all that kind of nonsense. I don't really know it. So write that down. And then I start playing around a bit, right? I'm like, wait a minute. I think you can also equate this to this and this other thing to this other thing, right? So I have 4 equations. And I plug the last 3 into number 1, I get like 15 terms, right? Something nuts. And I start crossing out things that cancel. Bang, I'm left with the answer. I was like, no way, right? So I was there like, right, turning point. This is it. Feeling good. 3C, bang. I was quite happy with that one. 3D, okay, kind of. It was very vague what he was asking for, but I was like, I put the best thing forward for what I thought he was asking, right? So did that, and then I'm like, right, let's go back to question 1B, right? I think it was like this. I told you I remembered the operator, write it down, and in the end, proved it. I was like, okay, I did remember it. Let's go. So there's another one done. Bang, that I just really didn't think that I had any business doing. 1C, it's like, how do you do this? Bang, light bulb moment, I've got it. Get that answer as well. I'm like, okay, we're cooking. I still looked at 1D and E and said, yeah, I'm not really too bothered about that. Go to 2A. I'm like, bro, I've done this before, taking like 5 minutes. Bang. They're like, this is how you do it. I didn't get the last part of it. Like, there was an extra bit that I'd never seen before. Had no clue what was even really asking. But I was like, I've done this part. Happy. Go to 2B. I'm there. There's like I, right? So 6 marks, 2 each kind of thing. Bang, hammered it. I was pretty chuffed with that and everything. So yeah, in the end, I'd say the exam, quantum field theory, fair. Did I, if there was a man above, was he looking down favorably upon me an hour and a half into that exam? Yeah, probably. Most likely, right? So that happened there. And then I also had groups and reps, right? So with QFT, I left like 2 questions, wasn't as happy with them as I could have been, like sub questions, right? But I was happy nonetheless. Groups and reps, I'm there walking and going, the way that this is probably going to pan out is I will do 2 questions I tend to know really well, and then it's a toss-up between 2 questions that are going to be super difficult. Open up the paper, bang, I'm there once again, yoked on caffeine, like enough to kill a horse, right? And I'm there like, okay, I'm doing question 2, question 4, they're basically the same thing. Very nice. Like, those are the questions I had in mind for, like, that were quite similar to past papers. I was like, that's kind of what I want to work with. Hammer it down, question 2, question 4, hammer it down. And then I'm like, right, I need to decide which one do I want to do. And I turn to question 3. I look at question 3, guys, and I literally said, this question is cursed. If someone could do that question and get full marks, give them a PhD. Like, it was absurdly just, it was just wrong. It wasn't fair. Like, he probably did teach it to some extent, but that I'd never seen a question so unbelievably just rogue in nature. So that happened, and I was like, there's no chance. So it has to be question 1. Hadn't even read question 1, and I started doing question 1. I'm like, okay, it's going to be on group theory and some representations. That's fine. Okay, however bad it is, it can't be worse than 3. So I started doing question 1. Question 1's okay, it's going all right. I can do that. I can define this. And I think I did question 1. Like, I kind of knew it all. So I was there like, okay, something like I've just written an exam and I feel like I kind of know everything that was going on. There were like a couple marks here or there about like relate this to the standard model. And I was like, bro, a brother ain't dealing with the standard model till the standard model module in 3rd term. So take like the 2 or 3 marks that you want from me and everything, and let's move on accordingly, right? So I was super happy with groups and reps and everything, but yeah, that played out quite nicely. I think the only issue is I think everyone kind of found groups and reps quite nice, where to the point where it may actually get scaled down, which is a bit like, come on, bro. Like, don't mark it down, like everyone down, because it's not fair for like the people that do go in there and get 100% for them to get scaled down just as much as anyone else that got like an 80 or an 85 and everything. It's, yeah, it doesn't seem to sit so well with me. Like, if you write an exam that's too hard, feel free to scale it up. I guess this is bias, right? But feel free to scale it up, because it's not fair that it was that difficult. If it's too easy, it's not fair on the people at the top that have to get marked down for that. But yeah, it's a weird one, but we'll see how it all plays out. But in terms of that, that's basically like 40% of my actual final grade just done in those two exams. So my brother's happy. He's happy that he never needs to see any groups and reps again. Super happy with how quantum field theory went as well. Like I said, fair in nature. I was kind of expecting groups to be the same reaction, but I feel really good after the groups. So yeah, I guess, did a lot of work for these, like probably more than I've done for any other exams in my life, because I was a bit more nervous, and obviously, the competition's a bit more stacked, right? So you wanna really put a good shift in, because it's not a, back in my undergrad, I could kind of go, if I don't know this, no one really knows this kind of thing. I know, sounds arrogant, but kind of just the way it was and everything. Whereas here, I wanted to make sure that I was at a level where if I go, I don't know this, not a lot of people are going to know this kind of thing, rather than, oh, I don't know this, mate, everyone else here could probably very well know it. So yeah, I feel I raised my own standard to the level that I wanted to, and yeah, the exams played out well. So the reason I'm in the shirt, probably should have said at the start, you need to dress up in your suit, or subfusk as they call it in Oxford, white shirt, black trousers, suit jacket, and then chuck on the robes and everything, and then I didn't take my hat in for the second one because it really actually wasn't necessary, but yeah, you need to dress up like that for whatever reason. I kind of like it, but then, at the same time, you're just walking downtown looking like a bit like a mooch. But yeah, it's always good to be a little bit sharp, but not when you don't know what's going on. So I guess, coming to the later exams, brother better know exactly what's going on, because I'm not going to be dressing sharp to not know how to answer half these questions. So yeah, but my first set of exams, pretty good, really happy with it. And that's just kind of the breakdown. I hope everyone enjoys that. I thought I took it ever so slightly through a journey, and you kind of feel where I was coming from with the, you start going down and then finish on a high, like a cosine graph. That QFT exam was like a cosine graph. Question 1A, we go now, and then, finish on a high. So that was quite nice and everything. A little turning point at the bottom was when I got 3B done, and then we just uphill from there kind of thing. So yeah, chuffed with it, and yeah, not much more to report on that. I'll keep the video short and sweet, but yeah, that was my first set of exams, and I feel pretty good to go and crack on with a couple more. So yeah, catch them later.